Good morning. Welcome to the Friday Live. I'm excited to share from my heart with you today. We haven't met before. I'm a Christian wife, mom, and homeschool mom. And I did not grow up planning to have such a big family. I had a lot of fears to overcome about it and had also just learned how to manage my home. So now I have a heart to help other moms of many embrace the blessing of children and to do so with joy and confidence. So today I'm excited to talk about the third part of connecting with your kids. On Monday, we talked about laying a proper foundation, making sure our idea of connecting is scriptural as opposed to more of a worldly or cultural influence. From there, on Wednesday, discussed connecting with introverts versus extroverts, especially if you yourself are an extroverted mom. It might be challenging to realize how different your extroverted and introverted kids are and how connecting with them may look different. Today, I'm going to talk about connecting with sons. I am blessed to have 7 sons, ages 14 to 1.5. And I grew up with 2 older brothers. So I've always kind of felt like I felt comfortable around brothers because that's what I grew up with. I have a little sister too, but we were like 4 or 5 years apart. So it took a while until we were teens until we really started to connect as people. So I think I've been blessed to already have a bit of insight into the male psyche. And now I'm surrounded by men. I joke about it. I share a bed with my husband and I have 7 sons. So from that experience and just reading and life and observation, of course, the scriptures is my foundation. I've learned a lot about raising sons and asking that really good question that can sometimes worry moms. Am I connecting meaningfully, or will I be able to connect meaningfully with these other, they're not girls, they're not like me, they don't typically behave all the ways that girls behave, and sometimes it can be confusing and moms can worry as their sons grow older and begin to mature. And they worry, am I connecting meaningfully with my son? Or are we just going to grow further and further apart? And that's a really good question to ask. My thoughts on the matter are this. When boys hit around 12, 13, and they do begin to physically mature and move from boyhood into young manhood, obviously there's physical cues that those changes are happening. And it's responsible and good to inform your sons of what's happening to their bodies and the wonderful process of growing into the men of God that God has destined them to be. Something I think women perhaps don't realize is that men are emotional creatures as well, because women are so obviously emotional or so hormonal that we don't realize how men have a whole range of emotions. How they go about expressing them may vary and differ in some ways from women, and that's completely good and normal and something to be celebrated and encouraged rather than to be looked at as wrong, because it can be different than the typical female expression of the range of emotions. So I've observed that as my sons, particularly the quiet, introverted ones, have begun to enter into young manhood, they get quiet. They were already quiet to begin with, and they get a little bit quieter. This is a normal process. It's part of them basically moving into manhood and letting go of those apron strings of being so closely identified as mommy's boy, and now beginning to step out and be their own man before God, who one day will, God willing, lead a family of their own, lead in the community, lead in the work that they engage in. This is their wiring. And in order for them to do that with confidence in God, confidence in themselves, there needs to be like a healthy separation from mom. And so it's normal for men, young men particularly, to begin to gravitate more towards male relationships, their friends, their father, other key role models in your life, in your church community, and people that, God willing, you have those supports in your life. So they're already naturally built in. So I want to encourage you as a mom, if you've been wondering, or if you worry that someday you may deal with this as you have little boys right now, that when they begin to just draw back a little bit, start to have some more privacy with their, changing their clothes, privacy with, some of their thoughts and feelings, To view that as a healthy part of the normal developmental process. I'm not talking, like I said in the last video, about a radical overnight shift where you're like, this kid was not like this before. Those could be warning signs that actually something is more seriously wrong. I'm talking about a more of a gradual, subtle progression of the boys becoming a bit more quiet, a bit more reflective, a bit more to themselves. As our boys become more and more responsible, taking on, let's like, further boundaries, I'll give them a little bit more opportunities to exercise some independence in a relatively safe way so that they can see for themselves, I can do things. I am able to navigate through, our town and get back home on time. I'm a capable, responsible, reliable person. And that gives them a real sense of dignity, a sense of accomplishment, and the courage and self-confidence it will take to go into manhood when they're going to begin to assume full responsibility, not only for themselves, but for many boys who become men. They'll take responsibility of leading a whole family. So part of preparing them for that level of honor and responsibility is to let them go a little bit. And rather than try to pull them back in a needy way, encourage them, support them, be like, and say complimentary things like, I see you growing up. You're taking on more responsibility. You're doing a really good job. I'm proud of you, son. You're going to be a fine man one day. I mean, that just speaks life into their core. So my encouragement to you is basically relax. Boys must grow into men. And our role as moms is a beautiful one. Listen, you're always going to be their mom. And our role is to help them, for our part, become men. And that's an awesome responsibility. If it's overwhelming you and you still want to talk about that and connect more about that because you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing, not just with boys, but just with motherhood, please feel free to join the Joyful and Confident Moms Facebook group. That's the hub of activity where I meet with the women there who are moms of many and want to embrace that blessing of children with joy and confidence. And they just wish they had someone to talk to. And they're like I was about 12, 14 years ago when I started having a big family, had a lot of fears and confusion and just questions. So I'm happy to serve in that way and meet you there. Before I go, I have something super exciting coming up. Next Monday, starting first Monday of July, I'm running a challenge for the first time ever. It's going to be so much fun. In case you don't know what a challenge is, it's 3 times a week, like I've been doing these lives. I'm going to be meeting, but for the whole month, we're going to focus on one topic, a topic so many of you women have been telling me, Tara, how do you do it? Because I have 10 kids, right? And my house actually isn't crazy chaotic. So the challenge is going to be get your house in order without stressing out. And we're going to have a fun, simple time. I'm just going to walk you through Monday, Wednesday, Friday in these lives, just some short, simple, doable techniques that I use in my home with 10 kids that help me stay on top of things and not be super stressed out about it either. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be free. And everybody who participates in it for the whole month is entered into a fun prize at the end. So that starts on Monday. More details are on the Joyful and Confident Moms Facebook group. I put a post giving all the details. So let me know what you thought of this today. Do you have sons? Are you connecting with them? What's working? What's not working? How can I help you in that? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. That's it for today. God bless you and keep you and make his face shine upon you. I will see you on Monday.